But yeah, so okay, so you're like a little one. You're surrounded by all this music. You're kind of being forced into a situation. When I say forced, I mean you're surrounded by music and drawing, and so you're being forced to learn foundational elements of all these different things. You're a sample. All this stuff happens around you. Are you like interested at that point in pursuing the arts, or are you like interested in other stuff as a little one?
I I was honestly the only thing I can say I remember I won a couple art contests as a kid, about first second grade. I was drawing like typical cartoon stuff that you see on TV and things like that. And one in particular I remember, I drew Mickey Mouse, and it was like like you hire something, you get that like moment where you just like so focused and this is about to be crazy. I had one of those moments when I was younger. I remember I was like, my lines were perfect. I drew this Mickey Mouse ears unlike none other. I had the perfect perspective. You know, quote, perfect
Hey,
perspective, basically.
Mm.
drop it. Drop it in the
and
chat.
I'm
Drop it
looking
in the
for it.
chat,
I'm not
everyone.
used
Drop
to
it
and
it
in the
yet.
next thing you
chat.
know,
Uh, uh.
next thing you know, number one, and they're announcing me on the loudspeaker. The principal's like, and then Stephan has the best art project, blah blah blah. So that was one of my notable moments. And yeah, that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I could tell that you were super proud of
To be
them
honest with
round
you,
round ears. You were like, you
I
got
was back
perfect
then.
circles on you got perfect circles on those ears because you made sure to make note that the circles on the ear were perfect. So that means that's what it
Perfect.
was. You know what I mean? That which is factual. That was what made it a perfect drawing back then. Was like, did you get the ear straight, or was there one squiggly little line
Yeah,
outside
you
of it?
can't
You know
mess
what I
up
mean?
Mickey. You
You
can't
can't
mess up
fuck
Mickey
up.
Mouse,
You're
man.
not gonna get a job at Disney fucking up fucking Mickey Mouse's ears, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no.
So you so you were
So you basically,
drawing.
yeah, you got that, and then at what point do you get like more interested, let's say, in like pursuing music or getting your own musical identity with it, where it stops being like yourself, and then is more like, yo, this my jam. Like, do you remember that moment?
um, Probably I want to say in about I gotta say like early '90s. Like early '90s is when like crisscross, the kid in plays, and like all the like those things started happening for me where I started paying attention, and I was kind of I was a weird kid. I'll say it. I was a little more mature than I should have been. I always had like a almost like a business sense about everything, the way I thought about it. For instance, when I was 8 years old, I sat in my room and I said, "I'm too old for toys." And I literally looked at my toys and I said, I don't want to play with toys anymore. So I gathered all my good toys. I
How old were
separated
you?
up in like
8.
sections. I
How
was
old?
8 years
Eight?
old.
Jesus Christ. My guy was ahead of
I
his time.
separated my toys up, and as I separated them out, I valued them, right? And I sold them. I
My
had like
guy said I
every Ninja Turtle
valued
you could
them.
think of.
Wow.
I sold all my Ninja Turtles. I sold whatever I could to my friends. It was, obviously it wasn't like real big money. It was like a couple of bucks that my friend had in his pocket, or something like that. And I sold it to him. And the rest I just chucked it. I got rid of all my toys, and that was when I started watching Rap City like every day, like just getting into just hip hop in general. I don't know, it just clicked one day. It was like I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get into like learning about music.
So
And ever since then, I've been pretty much like studying music.
you just made a bunch of bank off your toys, said fuck all that shit, I like rap music.
Yeah,
All right.
literally.
This guy was on his fucking
Like, you gotta understand, that
Sean
is
Combs shit at 8 years old.
8. Like,
The fuck?
that's big. That's a lot of that.
I was still playing. I'll be honest. I was still playing with toys all the way up until about. I think it was. I it turned from toys into comic books, and then like around like 11, I think is 11 is when like girls became the priority. You know what I mean? That's when like
Oh, 11, the girls.
cl-
Yeah, that's when I
clothes
was like,
clothes then
forget about
became
it.
became became the priority because clothes will is what you're gonna use to impress the girls. Yeah, at
Mm.
least that's what we thought
Yeah,
in New York City.
11, I started caring about my clothes so much, man. I was getting all those
Yep.
jeans and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get fake Tims. You got her official joints. Everything had to be crispy.
You already know. And then if there's like I talk to people that are not from like New York, Jersey, that's circling New York area understands, right? Like there's like things where like, yo, it can't be the Timberlands, the cheap ones that's got the thick sole things with the thick. It's got to be the little division between each little thing. You know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
you're getting made fun of. Like everybody at school is like, oh, this motherfucker got the fucking, and they just start getting on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be
You
all
got the
official
lugs
all the
on,
way.
bro.
You know
Don't
what I'm
have no
saying?
lugs
Lugs,
on.
but it's like, yo, you're like, yo, I got Timberlands. They just were on sale, but couldn't get the shit that was on sale, man. Gonna get made fun of. Gonna get made fun of.
Yeah, back in the day, you pull up in some Wranglers too, you was in trouble.
What? Fuck around. There was a certain point that I remember where you was getting laughed at just for having Levi's, and it's like, damn. But Levi's is just it became too
Yeah,
affordable, and everybody started looking down on it,
yeah.
and it was just like, can't
And
even wear
then
Levi's
then it
no
was
more.
like the fake Tommy Hilfiger jeans were like crazy. It was tons of that out there. The fake Tommy Hilfiger jeans.
Mm.
And then people started pulling up in Nike jeans. And they was like, Nike don't make jeans. What are you doing?
Fact. Not at that time. I mean, I don't think that they still don't make jeans. They make
Exactly.
joggers and fucking khakis, but they don't make jeans.
Yeah.
That's
They stay in
amazing.
their lane. Athletics.
I once saw a BlackBerry dress shirt in like the phone company BlackBerry. I saw a dress shirt in Pakistan that had that logo all over it. That's when I started seeing all those.
What?
Cause Pakistan is where everything
That's
gets
hilarious.
made, and they don't know the real brands or not. So like it was just like a dress shirt, and it said BlackBerry with like the fucking phone logo and shit all over it. Like they were the clothing
You should have
manufacturer.
copped that. You should have copped
I
that.
know I
That would
took
have
a
been an ill
picture of
one-off
it,
piece.
but like
Mm.
it didn't fit or anything. So in my head, I was like, I want clothes that fit. It was more like this is preposterous.
That shit's fire now that you say it.
Straight
I'm
up
like,
limited
what?
edition
I'll
Blackberry
pop out right now with a
Blackberry button up.
BlackBerry fucking button down. Like, what, son? Look at me.
uh, but so you start getting into music at like 8, 9. Are you like at that point a fan of it, or do you like I'm gonna be a rapper?
I'm no, I hadn't had thoughts of being a rapper yet. I was definitely a fan all the way. I can I'm gonna date myself even more. I used to get cassettes all the time, see cassette singles back then. One in particular I want to mention is Dre Day. That's cassette single. Death Row's definitely in the house, or I think it's Death Row's definitely in the motherfucking house, something like
Hell.
that. And I was playing that when I was in North Carolina at the time with my grandmother, and my dad had sent me some cash to go to get some cassette tapes. And back then, we used to go down there. There's nothing to do really. You go to the skating
Nothing.
rink, you go
Yeah.
outside and play. You go to the Air Force Base and get some groceries. Yeah, there's nothing really to do down there. So, one of the big things is going to the mall, going to the record shop, and the arcade. So I used to go to both,
As a
and
fail.
that was it pretty much. So I was in the record store and I see Dr. Dre Day, cassette single. I copied it. I'm in the car with my grandmother playing the cassette. I knew she didn't want to hear, what was on the unedited side. You know what I'm saying? So I said, I'm gonna be slick. I'm gonna play the instrumental. So I had it on the instrumental side, and it's playing the beat. I'm bopping my head. We're driving. She's got an old Lincoln Town car with the big boat ones, right? And just
Mm-hmm.
putting you the visual.
Joints is
My
hard.
grandmother, she don't play. She's from Alabama originally, but she spent most of her life in New York, so she's very like with it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
we're driving down the
She
street, I'm
bout that.
bopping, and all of a sudden on the instrumental, it out of nowhere goes, Death Row's in the motherfucking house. Yo, she damn near stopped the car, bro. She
She was
said,
like, the fuck are you
"What did they
playing in
just
my
say?
vehicle?
What did they just say?" So she took that tape from me, right? And let me tell you, that tape was in her like cabinet or whatever, Chester, whatever she kept her
She
clothes,
still
whatever,
got that
was
shit
in
right
that
now.
Chester until I was an adult.
She still got it right
I had
now.
to open
You
that one
still
day. I was
didn't get
like,
it back.
"Oh my god,
It's still
that
there,
cassette
my
tape's
tape.
still there."
That's
Yeah, yo.
amazing. That shit.
Blessings. I had the same exact story, except that mine was an OPP tape. Well, it wasn't my grandma. It was
Oh, that's a good
variations,
one too.
but it's just very like same fam. Parents is like, the fuck?
Yeah,
What you think you doing? You think you grown?
yeah. I got tons of those stories, honestly, because once I moved up north with my mom, I was about 11. So my mom, she's not into hip hop like that. She likes some. She like used to, play Queen Latifah here and there. But that's pretty much, as far as I remember her getting into hip hop like that. Um, it was a struggle. She didn't want me to listen to anything with profanity. So obviously, I love hip hop. I'm into it. So I can't even tell you how many cassette tapes and CDs. Well, I didn't have CDs yet at that time, but I had infinite amount of cassette tapes, and she would just kind of like hear things here and there and take it from me. And so it was a lot of struggles like that. Um, Actually, I guess I could tell this too. When CDs, well, not when they came out, but when CDs started becoming like what you should start getting and get a portable CD player back then. Um, I set out on a mission to get my first CD. So my first CD was actually purchased from, excuse me, not purchased. It was stolen from the Wiz.
Hey,
I don't know if you
shouts to
guys
the
remember
Wiz.
the Wiz. Well,
Nobody beats the
I know
Wiz.
Flacco remembers the Wiz, but it was stolen from the Wiz, and I didn't steal it myself. I won't take credit for that one. But a friend of mine at the time, he stole it from the Wiz and he sold it to me for $5. And the CDs were Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, and the
Hey,
show's movie soundtrack. Those are my first two
hey.
CDs ever.
So that means that you was going to sleep to every day rains. Things will
Mm-hmm.
never be the same. What? Love that soundtrack. Biggie performing "Me and My
Yo,
Bitch"
Cream.
live. What else was on that soundtrack?
Yeah, the Onyx was on there.
The Dove Shack joint. Oh, that Dove Shack joint was
Mm-hmm.
fire. That Dove Shack joint was.
Oh,
Mm,
you remember that? You remember that soundtrack? Yeah.
hell
I'm
yeah,
like,
bro.
Yeah. So after that, you guys remember they used to do like those little advertisements. You can get any CD you want for 1 penny, and then you got to
Yes.
put your credit card in or whatever. And I saw that, and immediately my eyes lit up like, "What? 1 penny?" I was a kid, so I went in there and I signed up for it, and then one day I get a package drop at the door, and it's like a whole box of CDs, and that's how I kind of started my CD collection. My mom smacked me upside my head a couple times, but it was worth it.
I imagine it was more than 1 penny.
Journey, yeah, no, it was 1 penny for the first like 20 or so, and then it's a subscription, so they just keep sending you stuff every month, and it's like a $50-$60 bill every month that comes in.
Mm.
So by the time my mom figured out that I signed up for this and she had to pay it off and cancel it for me, I had like a nice CD collection started.
So,
My God.
so
So,
basically, you're going through like the CD collection thing. Um, and I guess when do you develop more of an interest in becoming an artist, or like deciding you're gonna like
Facts.
pursue that?
honestly, it was Biggie. Listening to Biggie actually made me actually think about creating my own hip hop, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I like, genuinely like was infatuated with Biggie's whole sound, the lifestyle he had. I used to like literally. I remember walking through Plainfield, New Jersey, listening to the Fugees and Biggie like back to back, like just walking the streets, just listening to these things. So Fugees being from Jersey, it was like a different vibe. I felt like, oh wow, I'm in Jersey. These Jersey artists is out here. And Biggie, I was born in Brooklyn. I used to be thinking all this stuff in my head and like listening to this. And one day, I would say it's about 1998. I want to say. Um, I decided to write a rap. So the first thing I did was I may have been like 97, whatever. Um, I basically took a Biggie song and I wrote it out, everything he said, right? And I broke down everything he said, how he delivered it, how he, structured it, however you want to put it. And then I said, I can do this. So that night, I wrote my first verse, right? I was scared shitless. I went to school with my friends and we're at the lunch table and I go, yo, I wrote a rap. Everybody's looking at me like, okay, well, spit it. I spit the
Mm-hmm.
verse. They said it was dope. They said it was all right. They said, yo, do it again. I'm like, what? Oh, shit. So I went home, put another beat on, whatever song it was. I don't remember the song I was writing to over. But I wrote another one, right? I remember it had to be after Biggie died. So I remember saying in that verse, it was like R.I.P. B.I.G. R.I.P. P.A.C. In the actual bars. I remember saying that, but let's just say this was terrible. Like overall, it was like the worst thing you probably would ever hear. It was just terrible, right? And I spit this at the lunch table, and I'm gonna call out some names actually on purpose to remind people. It was we call him Lexiano at the table. It was a good friend of mine named Blue, and I'm trying to think of anybody else that I have to key in on. No, but point is, and a bunch of other people that are don't need to be named, but basically they told me at that point, don't ever do it again. Don't rap again. You're trash. Forget about it. Don't do it again. And that obviously, your high school brain, that kind of hurts you. And I didn't rap again. I basically just cut it out. Like, all right, that's not for me.
So
It sounds drastic, but that's what I thought. Like, oh, they
He'll,
said that's
he'll
it.
have had
My
he's
second
he'll
verse
have
like
was
had two
trash.
people.
It's over.
he's like I just took it like they said no. Fine.
Say
No
no more.
argument.
Fine.
I understand. I should
No,
not. When
no,
you
it
guys said
is.
yes, I was with it.
This is not me.
But I mean, at that point though, you also had the
So
drawing and
fast
stuff,
forward.
right? So it's not like you were like left without artistic
Oh yeah.
expression.
So
Cause like I mean, in the context, like you were just a rapper, it was your first only thing. It would be a little different than if you're already kind of prolific at something and you were just like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna try this out." You know, it's a little different. It's a different perspective.
right. So
Hey,
actually, it's funny you mentioned that. At that time, I was studying architecture, right? And I got really good at the whole visual layouts and doing things architecture. And I ended up winning second place in the New Jersey State competition for building basically an architectural layout and design. And that my whole like blueprint basically was posted in the local mall, and I was like my thing. Like wow, I did like engineering class and architecture, and like I'm actually being honored for this thing. So I thought I was going to be an architect at that time, so that was my goals at that time.
And even that's
But
just like more art.
work
yeah, exactly. Is you
structure.
have to be able to you have to basically visualize and basically sketched out plans ahead of time and know some obviously layout details, but essentially it's art. Um, but okay, I graduated high school, right? And I got my first computer at home. Excuse me, not my first computer. I shouldn't say that. My first personal computer for me. I had a computer in
Mm.
my household already, but it was shared between my sister and the family. But my own computer that I could have in my room, and it was the first computer I had that had a microphone that was embedded in the monitor, so I was able to record my voice. So when I realized that, I had a friend that lived across the complex from me. His name was Mechanics. He raps right now actually, but Mechanics had told me he had a program that I can literally record and put my vocals down and kind of track it a little bit and come up with a song. So he taught me how to do it. I came home. I started trying to mess around. So the irony of it though is the same people that I went to high school with that told me to stop rapping from that moment, I actually started a group with those same people. So Lexiano, Blue, there's a kid that was on my same building named Stamina, and another kid named Deshawn. We basically started a group called Flawless, and we were in our within our neighborhood, and because my apartment basically was the second place in the neighborhood that could record, we called my apartment basically Studio B. So across the complex was Studio A, and we had Studio B, and Studio A was like in my neighborhood was a old section which I lived in, and a new section, and we used to rival the new section naturally because they had different buildings. You know, oh, we're better in the old section, blah blah blah. So the same thing kind of happened with Studio A and Studio B. So everybody that was in the new section in Studio A used to diss us in Studio B, and Studio B would diss Studio A, and that's why how it became like a parody, like actually joker all the time. Like it was never like serious, you know. It was like joking around. So that's why I called myself MC Moneybags because I was just joking around, clowning everybody across the complex, you know. So obviously that was a little weird. A lot of like weird raps kind of came out of that situation, which I would never want anybody to hear. But that's how I learned. I learned how to start doing things, and the thing that I always remember, I was taught, and you can hear it the way I speak even today. I was taught as a very young kid by my grandmother, never speak improperly. Always speak proper English because you want people to know that you're educated, and you want people to know that you know what you're talking about. You know, communication is it. So that was one of my biggest things about rap. I used to try to do everything in proper English. And Blue, thank God for him. He told me one day, it's like, no, 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 it's all wrong. It's all wrong. I'm like, what do you mean it's all wrong? It's not garbage. It's garbage. So, so I learned basically right then, like I have to literally teach myself how to speak improper English, or you know, for terrible words saying ebonics, essentially, or slang, in order to pull things off in hip hop. Because sometimes you can't fit it structurally, you know, in a proper sentence for a rap. It's a rap, you know. Sometimes you have to get the point across, and you got to change the inflection of a word. It has to happen. So, you know, one of my first lessons in hip hop was garbage, not garbage.
That's wild, man. I mean, I definitely understand that lesson because when I started writing, it was all about the proper English and and then I had to learn about everything that goes into songwriting that goes, because wildly, even in like other genres, they'll fuck up the language for a good song.
Mm-hmm. I mean,